And welcome to the show. So, what's been happening? What do you think?
Theresa May has got her deal. It was approved by the other EU leaders today.
The British people don't want to spend any more time arguing about Brexit.
It now needs the approval, of course, of Westminster politicians.
Are there any circumstances in which you would vote for this deal?
No.
I'm not surprised. It's the worst European deal since my brother went to Amsterdam and paid €200 for a bag of parsley. We wanted weed, not garnish. Christ, politics moves fast. A few weeks ago, she was like this. Now she's like this. This is crazy. Have you seen what she's trying to do to win the vote? Theresa May's team has said to be offering rebel MPs peerages and other sweeteners in a bid to buy votes. Shocking, isn't it? Please vote for my deal. I'll make you a lord. What about a car? Jet ski? A dance? You like it when we move real slow? One bloke was like, yeah, right. Now we're fucking talking. She's not just trying to win over MPs. Have you seen what she's doing for us?
The Prime Minister has begun trying to sell her Brexit deal to the public on a whirlwind tour of Wales and Northern Ireland.
A tour? What's she going to sing?
Yeah, my Brexit's on fire. All the single markets, all the single markets, all the single markets. Ooh, 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 ooh.
You like it when we move real slow? Christ, we are spoilt. If you like desperate women who haven't done anything good in years, now you can get tickets for Theresa May and the Spice Girls. Now, it's not just a tour. Look what else she's doing.
The Prime Minister's written an open letter calling on the country to get behind the agreement. She insists the deal works for all of our people, whether you voted leave or remain.
The first draft was a little bit more honest. The second draft's worse. She's not in a good place. Now, elsewhere this week, Donald Trump's waded into the murder of the Saudi Arabian journalist Jamal Khashoggi.
President Trump is facing mounting pressure to respond to claims that Saudi Arabia's crown prince ordered the murder of Jamal Khashoggi.
The CIA has concluded that the Crown Prince was linked to the killing.
They did not come to a conclusion. They have feelings certain ways, but they didn't have the report. And you can ask Mike, they have not concluded. Nobody's concluded. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to conclude that the Crown Prince did it.
Senator, is the president lying?
Yes.
Of course he's lying. His mouth's moving. Trump has told more lies than a Tinder profile. I've got an MBA, you've got an STD. It's unbelievable. The Saudis tortured and dismembered a journalist. And look who Trump blamed.
Who should be held accountable?
Maybe the world should be held accountable, because the world is a vicious place.
The world? What, are the police going to release this photo of it? It's the sort of excuse a child uses. Who stole the biscuits? It was the universe. Why is there chocolate on your mouth? Dragons. It's funny with Trump. When it comes to things like murder, his memory's not so great. I mean, look at this.
Just so you understand,
I don't make deals with Saudi Arabia. I don't have money from Saudi Arabia. I have nothing to do with Saudi Arabia.
Really?
Saudi Arabia, and I get along great with all of them. They buy apartments from me. They spend 40 million, 50 million. Am I supposed to dislike them? I like them very much.
I don't get money from Saudi Arabia. There's 50 million in your bank account. Who put that there? The fucking world? To be honest, we shouldn't be surprised by his behaviour. This is a man who went to Paradise, the California town destroyed by fire, and said this.
You don't see what's going on until you come here. And what we saw at Pleasure, what a name right now. But what we just saw, we just left Pleasure. Paradise.
People died, and he can't be bothered to get the name right. That's like being in New York and going, never forget 7-Eleven. My heart goes out to the victims of Hurricane Caitlyn Jenner. They were so indiscriminate. I'm not content with offending them. He then handed out some expert advice.
I was with the president of Finland, and he said, we have a much different, we're a forest nation. He called it a forest nation. And they spend a lot of time on raking and cleaning and doing things, and they don't have any problem.
The reason Finland doesn't have forest fires in November isn't because of rakes. It's because the average temperature is -2, you thick fuck! And do you know the weirdest thing? It was all bullshit. Finland's president doesn't recall talking to President Trump about raking forest. Or to put it another way, is the president lying?
Yes.
Unbelievable. Now from something depressing to something joyful. Christ, this made me laugh. Dad left seriously unimpressed by supermarket's frog cake decoration. A dad in Australia went to his local supermarket and ordered a cake for his frog-obsessed son's 3rd birthday. He paid $49. It took them 3 days to make it. It arrived on the morning of his birthday. And it looked like this. I mean, that's not a frog. That's a smiley face and a pair of tits. Talking of angry shoppers, look at this sexist bullshit.
Marks & Spencer has been caught up in a sexism row, with the firm accused of portraying damaging gender stereotypes over a window display at a store in Nottingham.
Here is the men's must-have for Christmas. A suit. And here's the women's. Fancy little knickers. This isn't just sexism. It's Marks & Spencer sexism. Must have fancy little knickers. Like women are running around on Christmas Eve. Oh, my God! I haven't got my G-string! It just isn't Christmas until I've given myself a wedgie! Women aren't obsessed with underwear. It's not like you're singing Christmas time, camel toe and wine. Frosty the snowman had a warmer ass than me. I got one more. Jingle bells, my G-string smells, it's cutting me in two. Marks & Spencer broke my ass, my fanny's going blue. Hey! I'm done. It's nonsense, though, isn't it? Women don't want fancy little knickers at Christmas. They want Spanx. Big old Spanx. Pants that are gonna hold you, hug you, keep it all in till Boxing Day. My mum shops at M&S. She doesn't wear fancy little knickers at Christmas. I fucking hope! And my dad doesn't look like David Gandy. Last year, he dressed like an elf and one of his balls fell out. The irony is, one of his balls actually looked like the real Gandhi. The little glasses on and everything. But I digress. Now, women don't want fancy little knickers. Women want what everyone wants at Christmas. Pigs in blankets, elasticated pyjamas, a copy of Home Alone, an industrial bottle of Baileys, and a promise that nobody speaks about Brexit! That is what we all want. Join me after the break when I'll be talking to the incredible Derren Brown about his amazing new show where he tries to get somebody to take a bullet for a stranger. Welcome back. Now, let's talk about gambling in football. I love football. Oh, the crowds, the songs, the goals, the pies. Football's like religion, but it's real. I've seen Jesus. He plays for Man City. It makes you join in. Every time there's a header, I'm at home watching, and I'll be like that. No one else does that. My mum's not like that with Strictly going, get it right, get it right. Pass it double, pass it double. This is how magical football is. It stopped a war. It's the only sport that ever did that. We all know that story. Christmas, 1914, they had a kick around. No other sport has that power. Imagine if the Germans had come over the top. Would you like to play ultimate frisbee? Fucking frisbee? Night, night, blondie. Well, I want to know, how did they arrange it? This was before the days of WhatsApp. You know, it was the Germans. British people struggle with languages. Just a bloke in no man's land. Oi! Do you want to play football? Football! I do not understand what you ask. Football! The point I'm making, football is wonderful, but it's been ruined. You're watching the game, you get to half-time, and suddenly every advert is like, put a bet on, 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 put a bet on. When the fun stops, stop. They're using a slogan to deal with the problem of gambling. It's bullshit. To some people, a gambling addiction is as serious as a cocaine addiction. You can't use a slogan to deal with it. Slogans don't solve problems. They do it with booze. Have you seen that on the side of a beer? Drink responsibly. Nobody in this country drinks responsibly. Have you seen The Weekend? It's like The Purge. Just... You have 2 days to live, England. Kill or be killed. When the fun stops, stop. You can't even measure fun. Do you want to put a bet on? Nah, I've reached max joy capacity. No one's ever been pulled over by the police blowing to this. Look at that, he's 3 times over the fun limit, you jolly bastard. These companies are so aggressive. Do you know, the gambling industry spending on marketing surged to 1.5 billion last year. Every time you switch on the TV, you see this.
If you like a bet, check this out.
App, tap, bet.
The number of corners.
See it, build it, back it.
The match goals.
£20 million in free bets.
The final score.
Get boosted odds on 3 o'clock's biggest games. You place bets, you get free bets.
You can watch it and you can get involved in it.
You just gotta take the money and run.
When the fun stops, stop.
Nobody likes gambling adverts. I say we get rid of them. Do you know what we have instead? Here's my idea. We have the Queen reading out trivia. Wouldn't that be great?
Hello. You're 1 centimetre taller in the morning than you are in the evening. O.J. Simpson was originally cast to be the lead in The Terminator, but the studio didn't believe he could play the role of a cold-blooded killer. Finally, confession time. I am Banksy.
I'd rather that. Now, it's a serious problem. Did you see the shocking figures out this week about kids gambling?
According to this report, nearly 500,000 children between the ages of 11 and 16 have gambled in the past week. Of those, 55,000 children were considered to be problem gamblers.
It's heartbreaking, isn't it? When you're a kid, you should be climbing trees, building dens, laughing until you get tears in your eyes. I remember when I was young, we caught my friend Paul having a poo in the woods. Already wonderful. Could it get better? Yeah. My friend Jason pointed at him and went, "Forest dump." It's amazing. Like, as adults, you're laughing. Can you imagine what that did to a 12-year-old boy? We're gonna die, we're gonna die. His mum still calls him that. He was late for his own wedding and his own mother shouted, "Run, Forrest, run!" The point I'm making, 11-year-olds should be reading Harry Potter, not the Racing Post. Are you struggling with your homework, Timmy? No! My accumulator ain't come in! If Fly By Night doesn't win the 420 at Newmarket, they're going to take the fucking fidget spinner. And I know those people going, come on, Ross, what's wrong with the cheeky bet? Well, this isn't about you. It's about the most vulnerable addicts and the fact that gambling companies make their money by targeting them. In 2016, Paddy Power was found to have encouraged a problem gambler to keep betting until he lost his job, his home and access to his kids. When a member of staff flagged this up, here's what the boss said. Steps should be taken to try to increase his visits and time spent in the gambling premises. They make money by preying on the weakest. Now, according to some estimates, the social problems created by gambling could cost the UK as much as £1 billion a year. Crime, unemployment, bankruptcy, homelessness, health problems, suicide, the list goes on. They cause as much as £1 billion worth of damage. And do you know how much they paid towards that? £10 million. They made £13 billion last year. Surely the government can pressure them to pay more to fix problems that they are causing. I read that in casinos, right, some people are so addicted to slot machines, they're wearing adult nappies so they don't have to leave the machine. That's what the advert should be. Ray Winston in a fucking nappy, just going, I'm not having any fun. Betting companies don't take enough responsibility for the problems they cause. Even their help is cynical. Look at the biggest word in the slogan. Look, fun is the big word. At the very least, it should look like this. Because gambling isn't the most fun you can have at football. Do you know what is? The first time you go to watch a match with your dad, and he explains the rules. Well, basically, son, you can shout what you want at these grown men, and there's nothing they can do about it. Really? Yes. I saw this last year at Bath City. There were 17 of us. We scored, right? The opposition goalkeeper was pulling the ball out of the net. He's quite a heavy-set lad. He looked at a kid who was next to me, who was honestly about 10, and went, "Do you have a good Christmas?" And this kid looked and went, "Looks like you did, you fat cunt." That is football. That is fun. Now, it's time for another edition of Playground Politics. This week, I asked the children of the world, what makes a country?
If we were going to make a new country, us three, what would you have in that country?
I would have real teddy bears. Pig, pork, vegetables, apples, chicken nuggets, aeroplane, and a flying car? Yeah. Nothing.
Oh, God.
Emptiness. Disaster.
It's bleak, isn't it?
War.
We feel it, it's tempting.
Dead trees. Dead plants. We can have a thing to climb.
A thing to climb?
Yes.
Yeah, lovely. A ladder.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to have a ladder.
Yeah.
Who would not be allowed in your country?
Donald Trump.
Why is that?
Because I don't like him.
What is it about Donald you don't
Because
like?
he's a bad businessman. He tried to make a golf club in a middle of a field.
Yeah. I mean, traditionally, that is a good place for golf courses, though.
Only the boys can come, but only if they clean their foot.
Yeah, damn straight, filthy, feeted blokes. What are we going to call this magical land?
I would call it Princess Girls Land.
Princess Girls Land. Would it have a national anthem?
Yeah. Okay, we'll just sing it.
Okay, let's sing it. Here we go.
Girls and the girls and the girls and mermaids.
Yeah.
Fairies and angels flying around. The girls are the best ones in the whole girl land.
That was brilliant. That is definitely going to be the anthem. That was absolutely terrific. What a country.
So you wouldn't have Donald Trump?
I have loads of people.
Oh, really?
Like the Prime Minister of North Korea, and I wouldn't also have Theresa May or Jimmy Krankie.
So I mean, Theresa May, speaks for herself. Let's get round to Jimmy Krankie. What is Jimmy Krankie up to these days?
She's in charge of Scotland, I think.
Let's see what's happened here. Yeah.
Girls and girls and girls and mermaids.
Yeah. Tonight's guest is a psychological illusionist who's been astounding audiences for almost 20 years. In his specials, he's done everything from convincing people that the world has ended to getting them to commit murder. Now, he's seeing if he can create a hero.
For the last 20 years in the UK, on television and stage, I've performed as a psychological illusionist. Now, in these aggressively divided times, when we so readily define ourselves by our tribal identities, I want to try and create a hero. Someone who will willingly lay down their life and take a bullet. Not for a loved one, but for a complete stranger.
Please welcome the amazing Derren Brown. Now, I'll be honest, I'm very, very excited about interviewing you, but I'm also terrified.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure that this is an interview. I feel like it may have been conjured up to put me into this situation so that in 6 weeks' time I'm fighting a tiger.
Yes.
So with that in mind, I thought I'd have a little bit of protection in case you try and get in my mind. So what
They do work, so yeah,
what
you are immune.
I need you to promise me that nothing bad's going to happen and I'm not going to be fighting my mum in 6 months' time.
I promise.
Good. Wonderful. Now, I absolutely loved the show.
Thank you.
It's called The Sacrifice.
Oh, just Sacrifice, in fact.
Just Sacrifice.
Just Sacrifice.
I apologise. I clearly didn't love it that much.
Clearly. The musical version is Sacrifice, exclamation mark.
It's brilliant. In case you haven't seen it, could you explain it to the audience without giving anything away?
Well, I essentially, using my covert mojo, try and get a essentially fairly racist, Trump-supporting American guy with strong views against immigration to lay down his life for a Mexican illegal immigrant.
Yes. It's absolutely nail-biting.
Thank you.
It's incredible. And there's such a crazy moment in it. And then you speak to him. Were you scared that he was going to kill you? There's such a powerful ending. And then you talk to him.
Yes, there's often with these shows there is, that moment where I have to go, it was...
Yeah.
It was just me.
Yeah, and presumably they're like, fuck it out! But we never see that.
Yeah.
Well, oh, that's cool. Hey, how you doing?
I think what tends to happen is, although when you watch the show, like within an hour, when the person's journey is really concentrated, it can feel like, is it just cruel? Why isn't he punching you? Whatever. I think at that moment, the relief of, oh, this isn't real, and it's just him, is just me.
Yes.
I think comes with all that feeling of how positive it's been. So yeah. I think apart from that initial, the terror of the moment, I think it's such a positive thing. And of course, since then, the guy is a changed guy.
Yeah.
His views have changed.
Well, this is what's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Like, if you haven't seen the documentary, basically you turn, like you say, kind of a racist Trump supporter into a liberal guy. And it made me think, do you feel like this is possible for the world? Like, I almost want to sort of drop you into the White House to see if you can get your head inside Trump. Do you think you could do that? Do you think you could alter Trump's viewpoint?
That's a tricky one, isn't it? The show, we really tried with the show not to make it sort of overtly political, because it isn't. It's about kindness, and it's about empathy and discovering those things. But we didn't make it into the final show, but at the start, you see this sort of audition day when I find the guy that's going to do it, and we chose this guy, Phil. But there were 100 people there, and we'd asked for people with strong political views. So got 50 right-wingers, 50 left-wingers, and we just tried some experiments with them, and a really interesting one, because we all like to think that that our political views come out of a kind of a rational appraisal of the issues at hand, and it's really not true. They come out of a gut-level response we have, and specifically to things like threat and disgust and contamination, right? These are sort of pre-wired things in us, right?
Yeah.
And depending on how easily those feelings are triggered in you and how strong they are, the stronger they are, the more right-wing you tend to be. So there's a basic right-wing urge, which is to protect the group against outside threat. And that can happen at the expense of weaker individuals. Then there's a liberal urge, which is to protect those weaker individuals.
Yes.
Even if that means at the expense of overall stability, right? So you sort of need both. You always need a dialogue between two. So we got a room of Conservatives, had them imagine they were invincible. Just did like a simple, just close your eyes and imagine you've got this, superpower. And then they answered questions, socio-political questions on various issues, and they gave much more left-wing answers than you'd expect, because they'd been primed with this feeling of invincibility. And then the fun bit was taking the liberals and doing the opposite. So we created a feeling of disgust and contamination in the room. So we had it stunk, there was like fake puke on the floor, and there was crap and rubbish everywhere. And we sort of apologised, said, sorry about the state of the room, we've got to be really quick. So they had this they were primed to feel disgust, and then they answered questions, and they gave much more conservative answers.
Yeah.
Because suddenly, it was a really interesting thing, right? Just how, what we like to think is how we just rationally weigh up these issues. It isn't. It's a real gut-level thing that's entirely unconscious.
I love the fact that that what we believe we feel can be just rejigged quite simply.
Yeah, well, that is something I think I'll always find interesting and always want to sort of show, but ultimately I think you have to...
Have you ever
You can only change yourself, can't you? You can only do it one person at a time. So
Yes.
you try and change the world, then you're putting your own bias and your own nonsense out there, and you're not
But
really
see,
helping.
that's the thing. That's what I'd be doing. I'm such a megalomaniac. I'd be like, right, how can I fix you up?
I suppose because I've made a living out of seemingly controlling stuff that you shouldn't be able to control. And actually, I think in life, I like the Stoics and the big Stoic lesson of not trying to control things that you can't control.
Yeah.
So that's actually how I live. I don't try and influence people and change things that aren't just within my own thoughts and actions, because it's an unhappy way of being.
But that's what I love about you. So you wrote a book on happiness based around Stoicism.
Yeah.
Like the art of why more or less is good enough.
Yeah, why everything's more or less fine. Bear in mind, what we're told nowadays quite a lot is set your goals and believe in yourself enough, and then you can achieve anything. Like, visualise what you want, believe in it, believe in yourself, and you should have that thing.
Yeah.
And it's a really damaging, toxic message, really. I mean, obviously it's great to have, a bit of positive self-belief, of course, and some people, obviously need that, but the idea that you've failed if you don't succeed because you didn't believe in yourself enough is a really bad cycle to get into. It's like playing a game of tennis, right? This applies to any sort of success or trying to change social injustice, whatever. If you go into a game of tennis thinking, I must win, you're trying to control something that you're not in control of. So if you start to lose, you're going to feel anxious, you're going to feel like you're failing.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go into a game of tennis or whatever thinking, I'll play as well as I possibly can to the best of my abilities, then you're going to play better. You won't have that feeling of failure if things aren't turning out the way you want.
Yeah.
You play better. So it's then, just differentiating what you're in control of and what you're not in control of. What I think they miss, though, which I also think is really important, and where I came to at the end of writing the book, was how important anxiety is.
Yes.
You just try and avoid it. How do you know when you need to change something? How do you know when your job isn't right?
It feels like anxiety
unless your job's unhappy.
Demonised recently, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That you kind of we can't have it. Don't get anxious.
Yeah.
Whereas it sort of helps you become a better person, doesn't it?
Yeah. The danger is that you end up valuing a sort of security over growth.
Yeah.
And in order to grow, you have to allow yourself to be insecure, and you have to experience anxiety. Like, you don't cross the road on your own without letting go of your mum's hand at some point, right? So something has to sort of die or be let go of, or feel frightening in order to go somewhere new. So allowing anxiety to sit, not like reliving it all the time and letting it own you, but owning it and allowing it its place, I think is really important.
Yeah, definitely. What did you... Because the book is about happiness. Did it make you think about what makes you happiest?
What makes me happy?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even think happiness is really what it's about. I think meaning is what's important to people. Right? Meaning trumps happiness at any point. And the way you find meaning in life is to find something that's bigger than you, and then you just throw yourself into that thing, right?
Yeah.
It's something that gets you out of yourself, out of just this, into something that means more.
Do you think that's maybe why there are increased levels of anxiety amongst kids? Because if your sort of sole job is to cultivate your brand, which is what social media is, if you're a young man now and you've kind of got all that energy, or a young woman, you can just go to this and it will just turn you off.
What I think the real killer is like if you're at a party and you meet somebody, you generally see the best version of themselves, normally, right? As in whatever they decide to present to the world.
Yes.
Or if you have a couple over for dinner, you sort of see the couple normally operating at their best, right? So you start to build up an idea that people operate at a better level than they actually do, because you're comparing it to your experience of yourself, which carries with it all this sort of ugly, embarrassing, clumsy, giant thing that you carry around with you called your private life, and all the sort of embarrassing stuff that comes with that. So, and it's hard to remember that because you just don't experience that when you're meeting somebody and generally seeing this sort of shiny version that they give you. But then add to that the fact that we are brands, that we're presenting ourselves constantly as brands. So you're now...
But you wonder why kids are frazzled. It must be so tough, because obviously it's amazing and you've got loads of things you can do on there, but it's also like and you'll never be the best.
Yeah.
And yet it thrives on be the best, who's the best.
Yeah, it's just nonsense. You have to be the best. You want to be good enough. Like when you're a baby, you scream and somebody normally comes and provides you with what you want.
Yes.
Right? And that's... and what the mother or the caregiver, whoever it is, has to do is slowly disillusion you and let you realise that's not going to happen every time you scream. They have to let you down a little bit, so you learn an important lesson earlier on, that you don't just scream and get what you want.
I love that as a quote. Mothering is slowly disillusioning.
It is.
My mum's been disillusioning me for years.
But it's important, isn't it? And then you get some people, mentioning their names, who become, you know, powerful and successful, and they think that they can scream and get what they want. It's a very infantile urge, and it just isn't. That isn't what life is. You know,
so we need you to dress up as Trump's mum.
Go back in time.
Disillusion him. Feels like
Always
it would be
happy.
special.
Always happy to dress up as a mum.
Yes. Do you ever use your? I want to call them powers. But do you gifts? Do you ever use your mercurial talents in the everyday?
I was in Llandudno at a magic convention. So I was wearing a three-piece velvet suit. I had quite long hair at the time. I may or may not have had a drop earring.
I like it.
And there was a guy who was really aggressive with his girlfriend and clearly just looking for a fight, whatever had happened. Really kind of...
Yeah.
And so he says something like, well, what are you looking at? Or do you want to fight? Or words to that effect. And I, weirdly, I had described how to deal with this situation. I used to do, like, hypnosis shows, and afterwards I talk, well, you could use it in self-defence, and here's how.
Yeah.
So I said to him, the wall outside my house isn't 4 foot high.
Right.
And the key to this, if you ever find yourself in this sort of situation, is to have a phrase or something you can go into that makes complete sense, but it's completely out of context.
Right.
So what you're not doing is you're not playing the game. You're not going, oh, I wasn't looking at anything, or, no, you're just setting up another game by completely shifting the variables to a different subject.
Did that work, then?
Well, I said to him, the wall outside my house isn't 4 foot high.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping for is to induce a lot of confusion, because when people are very confused, if nothing else, all that adrenaline's going to go, but also they become hyper-suggestible, so then they do then follow, like, a hypnotic... I was going to stick his feet to the floor, that was the plan. Anyway, so I said to him, the wall outside my house isn't 4 foot high. He went, what? I said, I lived in Spain and the walls were quite high, but here, I mean, they're nothing. They're like nothing. They're really low. He went, oh, fuck, and then just all this... He just collapsed, basically. His girlfriend walked off. He's now sitting on the side of the road. I sit down with him. I promise you this is true. It's not like I made up. I promise it's true. Sat down with him and asked him what had happened. His girlfriend had bottled someone that night, and they'd had this whole argument. And I'm now weirdly sort of listening to his story and trying to offer some advice, and then left. But the key is... all you've got to do is put yourself in someone else's head, right? Yeah. It's like if you want to save a seat next to you on the bus, don't put your bad there, because that's what everybody else does, so they'll just get annoyed. Just pat the seat and nod and smile. No one's going to sit there. You just got to put yourself in their head, that's all.
This is genius.
Yeah.
Of course that makes sense.
Yeah.
brilliant thing. Like, that's a lovely little life hack.
There you go.
Somebody watching this is going to try that.
Yes.
Somebody's going to start a fight and then we're kind of get one of my conservatories. Lovely. Absolutely fascinating. Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Derren Brown! Join me after the break when me and Paul Chowdhury will be trying to live forever by freezing ourselves. Welcome back. Now it's time for the part of the show where I invite a comedian mate of mine to try out a bizarre health fad in an attempt to make us live forever. This week, me and the phenomenal Paul Chowdhury attempted cryotherapy.
Okay, so whole body cryotherapy is going into a cryo cabin that goes down to minus 130 degrees. And you're in there for 3 minutes. The reason why you do that is that it triggers the fight or flight response. That gets the brain to send a message to the blood to say, oh my God, it's freezing. So the blood rushes to the core area.
Paul's very worried. He's slightly worried to ask, but he's scared that he's going to shit himself.
Please don't do that because that'll cause some frostbite in there. If there's a problem, we'll just open the door and get you out.
Have you ever taken a shit in there?
Hey, yeah.
It's excellent for muscle recovery, so if you're training, it helps get you recovered quicker. It can help you look younger and feel younger as well.
Do you change race in there?
And we're only getting in for 3 minutes.
Correct.
Is that a long time? I hope she comes in there with us, you know that.
I know. The world's changed, mate.
You can't say that anymore.
No.
You can, see, we live in a world where you can't say you're attracted to women anymore.
You can.
It's politically incorrect to say you like women.
It's not. How old are you?
I'm old, man.
I know, but no one knows. You could be 30, you could be 73. You're a mystery.
I'm an enigma. Even I don't know who I am.
No. How do you deal with the cold?
Just put a jacket on, mate. But you lot are used to this because we...
You lot! Why'd you make this tense and about race?
Well,
we're having a lovely chat now. Now you made it
well, because you're the same colour as the robe.
I'm not, look at me. I'm orange. Enough of this chat, let's hit the chamber. Here we go.
Watch your step going in.
Oh, it's really cold, Paul. It's really cold, Paul.
Cold, is it?
Yeah, it's real cold, man.
Okay, Russell, your hands in prayer position there.
Yeah,
okay.
Pray now.
So you've been in there for 20 seconds. If I get you to take a quarter of a turn now for me.
Okay, which way? That way?
Yep.
Feel sorry for it.
Oh, I mean, it feels it's really having an impact on the nipples. It's cold, though. It's cold.
It's gone a bit red, isn't it?
I've got some red.
You want to stay in or come out?
I'm staying in, Paul.
In a minute, you'll take. Sorry, in a few seconds.
Terrible's ever happened to anyone there, right?
No,
Oh! 45 seconds left.
To go, to go.
Yep, to go. So if you want to lift your arms up for me, Russell. Yep, do that for a little bit as well. Just
Yeah, we're all fine.
take another quarter of a turn. You've got 30 seconds left.
30, that's not like that's the slowest. 15.
It's the home run now.
Okay.
Oh, God, it's so cold.
Got 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to open the door for you there.
Oh, it's like stars in your eyes. Oh,
There
God.
you go.
Oh, God. Oh, God. I feel great now.
Shit, man, I should have gone first.
Oh, God. Get her in there.
I'm not really ready to do this anymore.
Lose the robe.
Are we ready?
Get in the capsule.
Are you ready?
No.
See, look at how can he be he's all relaxed. I mean, I was screaming like a dying animal in there.
Take another quarter of a turn for me, please.
It's like he's reading the paper in there.
If he wants to do this, it's probably I let him read clothing.
Do you think you're going to shoot yourself?
I might do.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How did...
Sorry.
It's really cold.
I mean, that's insane. Do you not feel like tingly?
Yeah, you kind of whole body's all the blood circulating.
Yep, that's right, yes. It's all been oxygenated and all that. So shall we go through and do the Norman Tech compression therapy now?
Yes.
What that does, it helps to reduce any muscle swelling and push any lactic acid out of the system as well.
Did you shave on purpose? Yeah.
Is this really necessary?
I say we make this a regular part of our...
Every Monday morning?
Every Monday, I see you down here, we have a big freeze.
Yeah, we just freeze each other.
Exactly. I wouldn't mind getting one of them in the house, inviting people around.
How much do you think one of those things cost? How much does that thing?
How much does that cost?
Yes.
50 grand. We'll go half someone.
We just come here every week instead then.
Okay, yeah.
We go every Monday. It's amazing. And Paul has actually shit himself in there. Now, it's time for good deeds. Earlier this year, one of our viewers tweeted us an amazing charity that helps the homeless and their pet dogs. So I just had to find out more.
I'm Michelle. I'm the director-founder of Dogs on the Streets. Dogs on the Streets is an organisation that helps support the rough sleeping and homeless community with everything they need for their pet dog.
Are you going? All right, I'll see you next week.
A dog to a homeless person is their entire world. It gives them a purpose, a reason to get up, a reason to have routine. It gives them a reason to just live.
Without the dog, I'd be lost sometimes, you know what I'm saying? It gets you out socialising, walking, meeting people every day. It means so much having a dog, it really does.
Despite we run a service on the street, if we meet anyone new, our aim is to work with them through the whole pathway to eventually find accommodation.
By helping the dog, she helped me, really. Because, like, I was going downhill, my dog was going downhill. But now everything's on the up.
Every one of us, including myself, my frontliners, and the vet team, we are all volunteers.
Yeah, he's starting to get a bit of a dermatitis in there. I'm one of the vets here. Whatever they need, they come to us and we sort them out. There we go.
Oh, that's great.
Perfect.
Don't worry, mate.
If the homeless person becomes ill, they refuse to access any medical care for the fear of losing their dog. Dogs on the Streets will take their dog in for them, and it gives the owners security that they can actually get medical support themselves.
Good girl. Darling, up you go. Good girl.
The ultimate is when we actually reunite them back together.
So, we've got treacle.
The actual excitement and the love and just the bond is amazing.
If ever you need a few days or something away, just give me a shout. Okay. You're doing well. All right, darling. These people shouldn't have to live out here like this. It's terrible.
I think a lot of people would find it difficult on the streets and that without this charity. I can never forget what they've done, you know what I'm saying? And get emotional.
Yay!
Lovely, isn't it? So lovely. Now, as ever, if you see something or someone amazing, let us know with the hashtag RHDeeds and we'll bung it on the show. Thanks very much for watching. Good night, my friends. Good night.
They're telling me about